Welcome back, everybody. Everybody, back to Shoulder Tap with the man, the wrist boss himself, Mick. How are we doing today? Are we seeing a lot of green on the board? Are we seeing some red on the board? Tell us. Give us a quick, brief overview of what we're seeing with our live funded traders today.
Mixed bag today. We've got a lot of people up smaller profits today, and some of the red that we're seeing on the board is some bigger numbers. We got a lot of the 150K accounts, daily loss limit area, so the 3,000. But it's, we're still strong after yesterday. I mentioned we were up really good yesterday. We had a nice green day from our live account traders, that group. And we called up some people from XFA to live yesterday too. So we're strong on the week, but while we've got more green on the board today, green's a little bit smaller. Haven't been that many opportunities, I've seen people taking advantages of. I will say though, there's Dakota who took that nice short in the gold. He made some money on that one, just under 12 grand. And I saw that the house account piggybacked that. I had JD asking me, who's short gold? Who's short gold? Anybody but Dakota. I actually, if you had to put a gun to my head and do anything intraday, I liked that entry on the gold trade. I know I'm supposed to be critiquing traders, but I'm a man of the markets too. So I can have a little bit of a bias as direction. And I liked that for a number of reasons. I saw in the shorter time frame, we had like 3 pushes up. There's a volume divergence there too. As well as a momentum divergence. So there were a couple stars aligning that I liked that short. So nice job, house account, riding out and piggybacking Dakota and making like $6,400 on the trade. But I heard, I was asking JD, I was like, you guys got 20 on in the house account. I was like, where are you out? He tells me where the stop is. It's right at the, the swing high of the day. I'm like, but where are you getting out if you're right? And guys put that trade on not knowing where you were going to be getting out if you were correct?
You're right. You're right to an extent, Mick. It wasn't well defined going into the trade. I will give you that. 100% was not well defined going into the trade. The risk was the profit target. Remember, I think we were talking about a general zone in the 25s, around VWAP, 24, 25 in gold. But looking back on it, I think it's fair enough. Your critique is fair. It wasn't predefined before we got in. And obviously, yes, it needs to be, because that's now you're not defining your risk. You're defining your risk, not your reward. But yes, I'll give you that. It was not predefined going into that trade.
Yeah,
it did work.
Right, well,
it did work, but that doesn't make it right.
Okay, well, I've got a shoulder tap for. I mean, it was a good entry, good framing out where we were going to get out if we were wrong. But I got a shoulder tap for every single viewer here that participated in that trade, not emphasizing the need to know where you're getting out if you're right. We got to frame out these trades, whether it's on TopstepTV, Live Prop House account, or in your own personal account. So, but that was good. I mean, I saw this congestion area where you guys covered the last little bit of it. But kudos to you, Andre, on peeling off as you were being proven correct. So I'm not going to talk a lot of shit about a $6,400 winner, even if it was a 20 lot. So nice work there. All right. So I mentioned the shout out to Dakota with that gold trade. Even before that, I mean, he added some shells to his account there, but almost 12,000 today. That's really good. He's up above the $170,000 account balance mark. Time to take a small payout, Dakota. I heard earlier, someone was asking him, what would you do if you took a $100,000 payout here? And he said, buy an old car to fix up with his brother. That's pretty cool. I could probably give you a lot of options on old cars to fix up or new stuff to throw into an old car. I got a shout out for Fatima. She's up 4,700. She was someone that we had featured a while back. Someone that the risk team really liked. We've had a good working relationship with her, talking to her over the phone. She had kind of gone from big swinging to, realizing, hey, this isn't working. And she made some really good adjustments that allowed her to last a lot longer in her live account than it was looking like when she started. That account had bled out, a couple months ago, but, she has made a lot of improvements since she's been in our program, and really happy to see that she's up 4,700 today. So I know she watches. Fatima, shout out to you. Keep up the good work. Let's lock in some of these profits. Well, let's dive into the cards. I know we used up a little time chatting about that house trade. I want to talk about Ye. He's someone we called up from XFA to live, trading out of New York. And this guy has been, I mean, he didn't spend a lot of days in his XFA, Andre, but he was freaking
See
crushing
that?
it in the XFA. So I want to pull up his trade report and look at this. We don't have a huge sample size on the data for his trading, but I mean, look at this
Wow.
staggering number: average daily P&L of call it
Wow.
$200. Um, Only NASDAQ, 67% winning days, and 74% winning trades, trading
Wow.
15 lots. He's also doing a lot of round turns during the day, which is, pretty impressive to have 74% winning days when you're doing, what was the average trades per day? I mean, this is a guy, he does a lot of trades per day
25.
when he's making money. Yeah, 25 trades with 15 lots, that's a lot of trading.
Yeah,
So
it
he's doing
is.
a high number around turns, but this is something, Andre, I know you like when it's working, you push that pedal down to the
Yeah,
floor.
you do.
And when it's not
Yep.
working, you pump the brakes. So I think of him as someone who's very good, that when he's in tune and feeling and reading the markets well, he presses like we should be doing. And then, the losses, and he hasn't had many losses in this account. I mean, he's got that $3,000 daily loss limit of protection in there. So
Yeah.
all good stuff here. He's got a couple big notable days. He had a $23,000 winning day yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, Note that was in two accounts. So that was a $46,000 winning day there yesterday. Another notable day. He's trade copying on two XFAs, or was. Um, and then he had a $22,800 winning day, and then another $13,500 winning day. So this guy's putting up staggering numbers. He's got that $3,000 daily loss limit speed bump there. As long as he's, and I think the 74% winning trades is going to be tough to maintain, Andre. But as long
Yep.
as he's putting up big 5-figure winning days like this, he can afford to hit those $3,000 daily loss limit days. So that's pretty
Wow.
cool. I'm going to kind of jump ahead from like something, from what we have on the card here to,
Go
just
ahead.
talk about those two XFAs. We called him up
Right.
yesterday. He hit the $50,000 cap in those XFAs yesterday. So there
Okay.
was two of them. So he was getting transferred with a $100,000 balance. As a reminder to everybody, payout policies, 5 winning days at $200 or more. But when you get
Yep.
transferred to live, you also have the ability to take up to 50% of your account. So he hadn't taken a payout on his way to that $100,000, but he did take a $50,000 payout during that transfer. So he's got 50K in his
Beautiful.
pocket now, tangible money, and he's got 50K that he's going to be starting out with in the live account. And as
Boy.
long as he keeps that $3,000 daily loss limit in place, he can afford to have a lot of $3,000 losing days in a row. And chances are, he's not going to burn through it. I know that
Mhm.
he's got a good eye for the markets, and he knows when to press, and he knows to keep that risk, limited to $3,000. So I think there's going to be some really good things from Ye in the live account when he gets rocking and rolling in there, potentially, later on this week. So
Hmm.
some things I like here, other than the big winning days and the excitement, that comes with those, is if you look at the trade report, Andre, some of
Yeah.
those big winning days that he had, or at least one of them, yesterday, May 20th, he was actually up over 40 grand at one point during the day yesterday.
Huh. Okay.
Um, that's a lot. And I think we
Yeah. What they
talked
end
about
with?
it. They ended with 23,000. So they kept
Okay.
just a little bit more than half of it. I like that. That's money management.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit better, because 40K, I always say, as you get more, keep 50% of significant profits. As those
Yep.
profits become more and more significant, 40,000 is definitely more and more significant. You might want to keep a higher percentage of that, but walking away with 23 after open trade equity of 43,000 or
It's not bad.
40,000 while you're trading 15 lots. I mean, he kept half of it. It wasn't the only day he did that. So, I really like that a lot.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
hope
This is
there's
this is essentially the model candidate here, Mick. Right? With the $50,000 in payouts, $50,000 going to their live funded trading account balance. I mean, this is basically what we've been searching for, high and low, right?
yeah, I mean,
I
it's a
mean, in
huge
terms.
success story.
Yeah.
Huge
Okay.
success story.
I
He
follow.
did
This is
this in
really
short
good.
order too. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of trading days in this XFA, but we liked what he could take out of the markets. We liked what he was risking, and that was enough. And then the fact that he pressed too. So
Love it.
We know we always want to aim for high percent winning trades, Andre. 74 might be tough to maintain, but because I shouldn't say but because of that, I want to talk to Ye about the risk reward that he's got. It's about
Mhm.
1 to 1. It's a little worse than 1 to 1 on a per contract basis. He's taken about $1,071 per contract on winners while risking 1,300. Something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's really, a big deal right now with the winning trade percentage being so high. But if that winning trade percentage drops, and it easily could, risk rewards where he's going to need to focus on. And we'll get into that a little bit more with the next
Yeah.
card, risk reward, because risk reward, is something that's saving our next guy, Raphael, who we'll get to. But my last talking points for Ye is, with someone who's taken big swings like this, yeah, we haven't seen any slippage on those $3,000 losing days, but depending on what number might be coming out or, what the market's doing, in regards to swing highs, swing lows, or previous days highs and previous days lows. If you got 15 on, you could generate quite a bit of slippage if you're trading the NASDAQ. So I want him to think about, healthy account balance maintenance levels. He's going to be starting at 50 grand, but if he strings together 5 winning days, even if they're small ones, and then takes another half of that in payouts, putting himself, a little over 25,000 at that point. The account balance maintenance level is something that I want to keep a very
Mhm.
close eye on, and I want Ye thinking about that as well.
Yep.
So I think I, covered just about everything I wanted to cover here. This is a total shout out to him. He knocked it out of the park very quickly, and
Huh.
we really feel
Sure did.
confident that he'll be able to continue doing so in that live account that he's going to be trading in very shortly.
Very good stuff. Elcor in the chat says this is a motivation card. I 100% agree. This is what we are looking for. This is a success story. Absolutely, man. Great example of what we're looking for here at Topstep.
Yeah, man, it is. I mean, and this is something that I'll say, Elkhorn. This is something that he's been with us since he's been a member with us since October of 2023. So he's not been with us too long. It seems to me like he's been in the markets for a while, and I think for anybody that starts small, that I don't know if his winning trade percentage was this or his winning days have been like this. But if you're someone who's not at this scale, let's say you're 1/10 of him and your average daily P&L
Mhm.
is $900, but you have those consistent metrics, you can scale to be right where he's at.
Yep.
If you have consistent profitability, that's what always justifies increasing the leverage. And if you're consistently profitable and you're treating this as a business, you should be scaling within your comfort zone. Jumping into larger position sizing always takes a little bit of getting used to as far as comfort levels, but
Mhm.
you can be there, Elkhorn, if you're consistently profitable. Just scale it.
Amazing.
All right, let's move on.
I like that. Let's do that. You tease this next person. You tease this next trading card coming up, Raphael. So I want to see what you're referencing here when we talked about him.
Yeah, so I think this is a classic example of how someone can be successful with just their risk reward and kind of a poor level of winning days and winning trades. They're only right a third of the time on a per trade basis, and they're right less than a third of the time on a per trade basis. But the risk reward is there, so I want to jump right to that. They're looking their risk rewards, better than 2.5 to 1, almost call it 3 to 1. On a
Uh
per
huh.
contract basis, they're making $2,000 on a per contract basis. They're only
Beautiful.
risking 720. So this is,
I'll take that.
this is a nice work of art on the risk reward. And they maintained that over 11 days isn't a ton of time to be in an XFA. They are in an XFA. This is not one of our live traders, but we really like the stuff that we see here. Best day in this account was almost $13,000. The worst day,
Hmm.
$3,000 daily loss limit. But despite the winning days being a small percentage of their trading days, I got to look at the metrics here, Dre, and say that the average winning
Yeah.
day is like $6,500, and their average losing day, and they've had more losing days than winning days, but they're capping that average losing day to under $900
Yep.
on a 150K account. So they're risking less than a third of what they're allowed to. I like that from a money management standpoint. They have one day where they hit the $3,000 mark,
Yeah,
only
that's
one
what it's there
daily
for.
loss limit day. Yeah.
Yep.
But then these other days, they've stopped at $600 in losses or $900 in losses. And, I always like seeing that because so many times I see a big swinger, and you could, maybe say someone like him who puts up 3,000, 5,500, 4,400, 13,000. You might call him a big swinger, but if they're not using everything that they have on the downside and going to that daily loss limit, they might
Right.
be, trading big size, but they're managing their downside pretty well. So definitely worth featuring this person. I like that they're selective. They're doing all this trading 1 to 3 contracts, 5 trades a day, 1 to 3
Incredible.
lots. Yeah. Yeah. Really incredible. Um, what else we got on him here? Do you see anything on the trade report that you
Good
want to
risk
chat about?
reward. Trades smaller than he can. I want to know, what do you mean by that? Trades smaller than he can. That's what caught. What does that mean to you?
What that means to me, and I think that's really important, is the people that trade smaller than they can. So he's got an account balance that warrants him trading 15 lots. He's in the big account
Mhm.
size. He's got a bigger daily loss limit. And he's not going in there and trading 15 lots every single time. That speaks volumes to me from a risk standpoint when you consider what someone's doing with their money management. Just because I can trade 100 contracts doesn't mean I should take 100 contracts on every single
Correct.
trade.
Correct.
They always say, you should live well within your means. You can trade well within your means too. There's a time and place for leverage. I know, uh, heck, when I was, at a hedge fund, we would have a unit size.
Yep.
Didn't matter how many contracts the unit size was, but we would, maybe start out with a quarter unit, or we'd do a half of unit, go to a full unit. Maybe we'd have 4 units on, but you always make adjustments. So that's one
That's
example
right.
when I was at a hedge fund. And then during volatile times too, there's a time and place for everything. If you're someone sitting there watching corn and corn's not moving, you're in a 6 cent range on the day, a 24 tick range. Maybe you trade a little bit bigger, but in volatile environments, be it you're trading around an economic release, or you're just in a market that's, burning higher, ripping higher, or, falling out of bed, like, you need to adjust your position sizing based on the market environment and the scenario.
Hmm.
We used to, when I was in the grains, we used to load up, 100 lots every single penny on the upside and the downside of the ladder.
Wow.
That was during a certain time, and then around, not economic releases, but like on days where we might have a crop report or going into that crop report or something like that, we shave it down to 10 lots on every single penny. So um, a smart trader will know when to lighten up and when to press. But there are people out there who, I'm not going to name names, people that have been following the segment could, maybe guess about, a trader from France that I've featured before, but, always all in, all out, no matter what, even if it's
Right.
FOMC statement day and the market's ripping against
Jesus.
them.
Jesus.
I dropped a couple subtle hints there. Okay.
Yep. I
So,
think we know who you're. Yes. All right, Mick. We've got like 4 minutes left here in shoulder tap. Someone in the chat's on to you, Mick. I think they know exactly who you're mentioning. We're
oh
not going to
yeah,
say names on here.
okay, but they
Check and
took care
speculate
of
all
it
they
for
want.
me.
They took
We
care of
got
it
a
for you. I
loyal
think
viewer.
so.
Thank you to that person. I can't see the chat right now, but thank you.
Yep. I think they're reading between the lines, Vic. So we'll keep that moving on. I do appreciate that. Let's get to see if we can get to this third card. We got about 4 minutes left here in shoulder tap.
Yeah,
We
we'll
got
go
one more.
through
We
it
got
quickly.
one more card to go over. This is an interesting one. This is a little bit different than the previous two we've seen. Just in terms of
It
average
is.
daily P&L, it's a bit smaller, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But let's
Well,
let's go over this one. This is a different type of trade. Also seeing a little bit of success, I'd say.
definitely, yeah. So this one, Luis, actually, our risk analyst Jacob kicked this one over to me today, saying that he liked what he saw because he was looking at the payouts that this person's
Hmm.
taken and making sure those were approved and whatnot. And this is a trader that I really liked. Kind of I want to say part of it is my kind of trading, my favorite kind of trading. And that's like the singles hitter or like the Mark Grace of trading, single, 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 because the metrics look really good here. 77% winning days, 82% winning trades. I don't like average winning day being less than the average losing day, but
Yeah.
you know, 77% winning days, they haven't had a lot of losing days. And I don't really like that the best day is smaller than the worst day. The $1,000 daily loss limit on this 50K XFA was an anomaly. And I don't really like the risk reward ratio of 1 to 4,
Mm,
$51 made per contract versus risking about $200 per contract. But somehow Luis is stringing this together, and they're averaging $99 a day, and they've done that over 26 days in the XFA. So I like the trading. I'm not sure if this is a call up to a live account because of some of those metrics. Granted, everything's looking really, really good here.
yeah.
They're consistently profitable, and that's really important. But there's areas for them to look at for improvements, specifically around the per trade management with the risk reward, and then the per day management. The $1,000 losing day was an anomaly because they haven't had many
Yes.
losing days. It
Quick
does
question,
look
Mick.
like after that first $1,000 daily loss limit, which actually happened on day 3 of 26 trading days, it looks like Luis did make an adjustment, Andre. I haven't seen anything
Yes.
past $500 in losses. So it
Happy
seems
about
like
that.
they came up with their own personal loss limit, which is something notable itself. There was an adjustment made. They got kicked in the
Mm,
teeth on that $1,000 daily loss limit day because their profits aren't anywhere close to that, but they're consistently profitable and they're doing well. This is a shout out to Luis, and just a reach out as far as some things to
mhm.
consider to take your trading that much further and be that much more profitable. And I'll end it
Right
at
on
that.
the Yeah, awesome stuff, Mick. We are just wrapping up. We are just about out of time right now. Appears to have personal loss limit $500. That's what I had a question about. You answered it after that $1,000 losing day. It sounds like they put the brakes on their downside and capped it at $500 to the downside. Good on them. That is the discipline that we're looking for,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps you in this game for a long, long time. If you can have that type of discipline moving forward, yeah, you touch the stove once and you realize, man, it's hot with $1,000 losing day. Now you don't need to know the stove is hot to touch. You don't need to touch it anymore to know it's hot. The second you get close to that hot stove, you start putting the brakes on, and you start, you pump the brakes and don't give anything back. I really like this. How do we see? Last question before we wrap up. Do you see a lot of this where people seem to appear to have their own personal loss limit, or is this something that we don't? Is this kind of a out of the norm?
It's not out of the norm, but
Mhm.
I would say it's more typical or more common to see people use every inch of the leash that they're given in regards to hitting that daily loss limit. It's something. I mean, I think newer traders will think, "Oh, I have the ability to lose this much, so I'll risk that much." Um,
Yep.
I think it's common for people to say, I need to risk more to make more. That's total
Right.
BS. I think that's
Correct.
my mic drop for the for the segment here. That's total BS.
Appreciate
Anytime
that.
if you're thinking that, that's so not true. Learn to scale into a trade as it's going in your
Right.
favor while you're being proven right. You don't need to risk more to make more. But I will say, bigger risk, bigger reward. But you got to make sure that you're making the money because a lot of people that take their full risk aren't actually, profitable consistently.
Mick, as always, very insightful, very enlightening. So, two examples of some bigger size traders. You saw another trader that has a day, personal loss limit of $500, average P&L of $99 a day. Still could be very, very successful. That's why Mick shows it to you. Mick, again, thank you so much for your time. And Mick, I'll see you at dinner tonight with the rest of the team. How about that?
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun time, Andre. Catch you in a couple
Yes.
hours.
You got it. Group coaching coming up next with JD and Ho. We got those questions in there. Tune in for that. And thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for group coaching. Let's go.